It is a joy to start the process that will enable you to spend the rest of your life with the person of your choice. When it's a man, oftentimes it's picking a lady, and when it's a lady, she's picking a gentleman. But all what leads to sharing the vows finally is a big process. And we began the conversation yesterday. The Nigerian wedding industry is thriving. After the event planner, a whole list of vendors worked together assiduously to ensure that you have a beautiful and a successful wedding that leaves lasting memories in the minds of not just your family and friends, but everyone who hears about your wedding ceremony. Please join us today again on Weekend Deal as we continue the conversation. We have been celebrating our vibrant and rich cultural diversity, which makes up over 200 million people in Nigeria. We will continue with that. And that's how Ijoma Ona opens the doors once again to traditional wedding ceremonies and the art of comparing with Ifeyemi. There is more. Ijoma, share, please.
The Nigerian law recognizes the customary marriage system as a marriage conducted in accordance with the customs of the bride and the groom. That is why all tribes in Nigeria recognizes traditional marriages as the only authentic marriage between a man and a woman.
Traditional marriage is very, very important, most especially in this Nigeria, because if you look at churches nowadays, no pastor will join you if you are not traditionally married. So it's not as if you can do traditional wedding and decide not to even do any other type of wedding. But when you do church wedding, there's no way you do church wedding without traditional wedding.
As important as this system of marriage is in Nigeria's culture, there are many elements and observances that must be met before a man can proudly say that he has married a woman.
Traditional marriage is not even about just attending party, let me wear asho okay, let me wear asho ebi. It's for the fact that your parents, your siblings, your aunties, your uncles, they are there to say, yes, we have agreed to this marriage. Like, and Afa telling you to pay owori, which is bride price, first, before they can join you. And they call it sadaki. So it is very, you can say that in every religion, bride price is very, very important. Even church too, that they will tell you they will not join you, go and do this thing. They are not talking about this thing, they are talking about the bride price, which can be in form of all those items that the parents has collected, which is part of why they will give their consent that they have given their hand in this marriage.
In traditional marriage rites, marriage elements like bride price, kola nut, local wine, go-betweens or witnesses, kingsmen, maternal relations, or others are very essential in conducting a traditional marriage in the village or in the city. Today, we could see a lot of changes or adjustments to these rites. We could also see others pay bride price with POS transfers or even pay bride price in view, pending when cash was made available.
Some brides, probably some parents, they will say, there's no need. It's only those days that they will do it. We don't want kola nut. I'm not babalawo. It's not babalawo that used to collect kola nut during their child wedding. And of which everything has significance. During this time that our parents used to collect them, they use them for prayers. They can collect kola nut and this thing, they will say, like Yoruba, they will say, Obi, don't be kudanu. Ìyàwó yìí, bí nǹkan burúkú dànù nínú ìgbéyàwó wọn. This yam that they are using, fruits, they will say èso. Yoruba name for fruit is èso. Wọ́n ní ìgbéyàwó yín á so èso rere. Ẹja, they use fish. All those things have significance. All those items, they are not just for paparazzi's sake, for me to see that, wow, see, they collected plenty things because of me.
Now, how does lack of these elements in a marriage rite affect our culture?
You see, when we are talking about traditional marriage, it's not just about, okay, I am married traditionally. Yes, we called Alaga. Alaga ushered me in. Alaga, my husband, ushered my husband in to prostrate. Traditional marriage is even beyond that. There are so many elements that will make it up, like to make it say, it is truly a traditional wedding. A traditional wedding, yes. If those things are absent, it is not traditional marriage. It is just a gathering, or let's say a meeting.
Would a traditional marriage which was not conducted with all the traditional rites be considered a proper marriage?
Yoruba culture, they value this prostrating of a thing. So if they are not, church wedding will not give you, it's not as if I'm saying church wedding is not good, but church wedding will not give you room for such. Court wedding is just for you to write inside paper and biro. But this traditional is when you will get to know each other, know about this person's culture. All this prostrating, some will say, I cannot prostrate, of which it is those things that will make it, yes, that's why you see when some prostrate will say, show bebefe, are you the one pleading, or they are the one pleading for you to marry and vice versa? So you have to prostrate, and it should be there that you are the one actually pleading to marry this child.
How do intending couples plan and organize a modern traditional marriage and still maintain all the traditional requirements, as it were? These and more will be our focus on Weekend Deal today.
Weekend Deal.
Ijoma set the tone for our conversation, and she focused today on traditional wedding ceremonies. And we get to know now that it's very important, because that is what Nigerian culture oftentimes recognizes. That love you have been sharing with your would-be spouse, it is when two of you tie the traditional knot that people now know, yes, these people, their love has become authenticated. And perhaps from the trad wedding, you now go to the major one, whether you're going to wed in a mosque or you're going to do it in church. I mean, the Muslim way or the Christian way. Ashwebis, you know of it now. When they say Eko for show, that is the home of Ashwebi. They like to do it. Sometimes it's affordable, many will buy, but some are saying that the prices sometimes are too high, and it's not a must that you must buy. Lagos, take it from here.
There are many special moments that happen during parties to allow more enjoyable experience for all. Nigerians are generally known to take parties seriously. The practice of choosing Ashwebi is linked to the Yorubas and gradually, like wildfire, it spreads to other cultures. Ashwebi, meaning family cloth, in any party makes it complete and colorful. One place where the most elaborate Ashwebi can be found is at a wedding party.
I've done Ashwebi to most places across the globe. Sure, you understand. So I won't say Ashwebi is particular about Nigerian only.
I think it's important because it brings color to the wedding or to the occasion.
However, going the extra mile, like borrowing in order to purchase Ashwebi, is what needs to be checked, as Ashwebi now has become expensive and difficult for some to get.
Price. People should be more considerate about the price, because that's what scares people away. Because most times you see Ashwebi of 100k and you'll be like, how many Ashwebis am I going to? You are going to wear it for only one. Personally, for me, I don't wear Ashwebi. Once I buy Ashwebi, it's only for that wedding, and so people look at it. What's the point? So people should try to bring down, the price.
People will give you the color of their day. If the Ashwebi is green, they will tell you, okay, the uniform is green, but you can come in anything in the touch of the color of the day. For me, that serves. That's very okay. So you mustn't wear that exact uniform, but you can pick the color and dress in your own way.
Well, it's not necessarily compulsory, but it's good. It's good when you have the Ashwebi, so you feel belong, you feel among the party. So, but it's not. If you don't have Ashwebi, you can still come to a party.
Ashwebi is an integral part of any ceremony that cannot be overlooked. It is a stunning uniform outfit, usually Ankara or lace fabric, that can be sewn in different styles. It comes in a variety of colors, from very bright passion red to conventional gold and blue. When combined with shoes and pieces of jewelry with gele, headgear for women, and fila, cap for men, the wearer comes out breathtaking. One striking feature of Asoebi is that buying it automatically guarantees attendees access to souvenirs, which ranges from normal plastics to bizarre ones like fuel during scarcity, which will be distributed according to the cost of the Asoebi.
Yes, I saw one video. I saw it on video where they went to party and they were sharing fuel, especially during the scarcity of fuel.
These days, the Lagos party, most especially, the kind of souvenir they picked, they rate their Asoebi high, so that souvenir bring one kind of unique that I want to be. Sure, you understand me? You will want to be, because they will even tell you that the kind of souvenir they are packing, they use in Ghana must go. Do you understand? Milk, Milo, everything, what you don't even expect will be there. So some people, because of that Asoebi, they will just, not even the party, they want to come to the party because of that souvenir, and they will wear the Asoebi no matter the price. Paint bucket, branded, although it is branded, Gary. In fact, I really love it. The taste of that Gary is even better than the one I have at home.
I have been fortunate not to have attended those ones that they will give me granite and the Ijebu Gari as souvenir, but it's so beautiful because the Ijebu Gari is not common, to be honest. So for me, when people have events and they share souvenirs, they actually share. For me, it's a gift of love. Thank you for attending my occasion. Thank you for allowing me to inconvenience you. Thank you for allowing me to inconvenience your time.
The uniform fabric Asoebi is one culture that we have as Nigerians that should be retained, as it portrays unity, support, and oneness.
When I had a chat with our guest yesterday, I think Mrs. Okoro, Mrs. John Okoro, I was telling her that sometimes you go for an event, perhaps because you are not adorned into Asoebi, you didn't purchase it, you find that the ushers will just be serving food around you. And she said it's not so, and it's hardly planned deliberately. Perhaps it just happens. So good a thing I have yet another event planner here, and who will throw more light on this. Zacchaeus Oluwatobi David is the owner and the creative director of Trilla's event. How are you doing, Zacchaeus?
I'm good this morning.
You're just telling straight. It's you are introduced now.
I'm good this morning.
Great. Nice to have you with us. I know you have planned, organized successfully over 25, 27 wedding ceremony, amongst the other things you have planned over time. And it's very interesting. But we're asking today, like, where we are curious about, we hear that the vendors can be numerous. How do you work with your clients, work with your vendors, discussing with them? How do you manage the resources you are given? We know it's not every time that clients are so wealthy and all of that. And do you also do destination weddings?
Yes, I do.
Tell us, share.
All right. So vendors across Nigeria are getting more creative and innovative, and the span is getting wider, especially the Nigerian wedding industry. And when looking at the wedding, the client provides an estimated budget first. So it's from the estimated budget you will know which of the vendors you're going for. There are, of course, A-class vendors, B-class vendors, C-class vendors, and so on. So it's the budget that will determine what vendor you are going for, and the client's taste and the client preference. Sometimes we mix both the A-class vendors, the B-class vendors, and the rest. So while dealing with vendors, we tend to negotiate with them concerning the wedding industry and the wedding itself, because it's always a two-way thing. When the client gives us a brief, we take it down to the vendor and communicate the brief to the vendor. So the vendor will tell us the pricing. If
it's
it
okay
fits into the budget, fine. If it doesn't, we'll look for a way to.
But you are the middleman that
Yes,
goes between the client and the
the
vendors,
vendor.
and you are doing that up until the event
Till-
ends.
even
But
after
I
the
know
event.
that you also handle photography issues of photo. You know that photo shoot is the in thing now. By the time the man brings with the woman and they're planning the wedding, we begin to see unique types of photo shoots. I know I've seen one in the keke napep. Have you seen it?
Yes, sir.
That's the tricycle.
The tricycle, yeah.
We've seen some on bicycle.
Yeah.
Recently, I saw one on a tree. Were you part of that, David?
No.
But let's go to Delta State, where there's talk about photo shoots, among other things that make up a successful wedding ceremony.
Ceremonies are part of every society. One of such is the wedding ceremony. Over time, from small family gathering to huge venues, wedding planners, photo shoots, and lots more. It's now the order of the day.
We did our savings, we did our homework together, so I'm calling fortunes.
I think they are primarily expensive because it's seen as a once-in-a-lifetime engagement or ceremony, and you want to make it worthwhile and memorable. You want a quiet event where it's just a few people who you are happy to see, you have been around for some time, or you want something that is loud. I think those are the factors that make weddings expensive, basically. It's a whole industry.
In Delta State, various wedding venues are occupied irrespective of the high cost of the venue.
All boils down to your budget. What can you afford? Your budget is what will determine the type of wedding you will have. But on average, I do not think to plan a wedding should be expensive. An average wedding shouldn't be considered expensive.
The economy is not too friendly. You know, where you go to a hall just to receive friends, for a reception, they tell you a hall, 1.2 million, 1.3 million. It's already expensive. If you pay a hall for 1.3 million, how much will you now pay caterers? So it depends on what you want. Like I tell couples, cut your coats according to your size. You can decide to do canopy. After all, canopy, you have 7,000, 5,000 naira canopy.
Photo shoot is one aspect of the wedding that is so expensive, as there is increased demand of most couples doing pre-photo shoots before their wedding.
People see photography from a wider perspective, while others see from a broader perspective. My own point of view, I see photography from a wider perspective. And of course, there are some couples that want something very big. Like for me, you don't need to borrow before you do your wedding.
The world we are, new thing comes out, so as it is now, photo shoots is like a trend. But as an expert in event planning and event management, I don't think that photo shoots should be expensive. Because as a matter of fact, it is not a priority to have a wedding that you must have a photo shoot. Photo shoot is something you can as well remove from your wedding package because you are looking at costs.
We employ them that they should go on soft copies, because through these soft copies you can upload it on your Facebook, you can upload it on your email. Hard copies is not advisable. One, because of the chemical we are using to print out now. So it's not like before in olden days when you have black and white. That black and white will take, you can keep it long time. But now you discover that even if you print hard copies, before 1 year, that one is gone.
Wedding is beautiful pictures that will show in your magazine, your covers, your gift items, your souvenirs, and any other thing you want to do, your social media and all that. It mustn't be in an hotel. So do as your power reach. Like if you ask me, maybe if you don't have money to do a wedding and you ask me to do a wedding for you, what I will do, I say, madam, with the modern camera that we have, we could go to a location, a street. There are some buildings in Asaba, buildings in Lagos, any environment you find yourself, there are some streets that are quiet, we call them GROA. Those streets are fine, they have wonderful houses and different trees. So with your beautiful cameras you have, you could take wonderful pictures and you see how a blurry and a wonderful background that could look for anywhere in the world.
want their ceremony, their weddings to be heard locally and internationally, they'll go the extra mile. And sometimes that extra mile could border on the negative from what we hear, that people start to borrow money. David, tell us about that. Event planners like you, are you making our couples go to borrow, go to the banks, go to family to be a burden because they want to wed?
No.
Where's the pressure coming from?
Well, the pressure is coming from, first of all, the social media and the environment the client find himself or herself. People want to trend. Everything now wants to trend. Even the weddings want to trend. So I don't encourage people to borrow. No, it's not good to borrow. But people actually do borrow. And it depends on people's taste. Some people, their finance cannot bring out their taste they want.
Those trending
things they want on Instagram, most especially. People want Instagram type of decoration, Instagram type of photographers, MCs, which is very good. But if your budget is not up to that, you can actually tone it down a bit till perhaps when you are doing your anniversary, maybe 50 years anniversary, and boom, you are ready to go.
What is the most challenging thing you have faced when trying to plan a wedding ceremony?
Well, some, but most especially is the family. When you have an auntie that is too joyous, she wants to be in every single thing. I used to tell them when I hear some things like my sister is a planner, my uncle is a planner, and I will just laugh.
Everybody's a planner.
Everybody is a planner,
to you.
but they will still come back to me, and sometimes they tend to be a little bit of issue between them because they want their ideas to stand, but it's not, the ideas and the couple's ideas are not syncing. But still, because in Nigeria, it's a family thing, not an individual thing. So,
indeed.
So that's
nowadays, we know that event planning didn't start today. It was an informal thing before it grew into the big thriving industry that it is today. What would you say is unique? I mean, why should I go for an event planner? I have the resources. Like you said, my auntie can plan an event. She planned hers. My sister planned her wedding successfully. Even my father, so when he says his own, it will stand, and is the one bringing some of the resources. So why do I need you?
Well, I used to tell my clients, gathering vendors is not wedding planning. People just believe they can just go on internet and just gather vendors, and there's nobody to coordinate them. There's nobody to tell them what to do. They don't know the know-how. A vendor can give them a price above their budget or give them a service below what is expected. So that's where the planner comes in, because we are in the game. We negotiate with the vendors on a daily basis. So we know what and what.
So they need you, David, and your colleagues to come and dot their I's and cross their T's. Yes. Interesting. So hold that thought. Let's go to Ibadan. Let's talk about what we're discussing now. Couples borrowing or overspending. People focus on the wedding and pay less attention to the marriage. Ibadan, you have the details. Please share.
Union between a man and a woman is fundamental in any society. It has become an institution in which many young adults are frightened to embark on due to the financial implications attached to the wedding ceremony.
A marital institution instituted by God in the Garden of Eden between Adam and Eve. If you look at it, there was no record of any elaborate ceremony, just love between the couple. That is all. The expensive ceremonies we have nowadays are too demanding on couples. Blind imitation leads people to that. They just want to copy what somebody has done. Societal expectation and pressure. Even the society is expecting it that, oh, that wedding should be this elaborate, that is elaborate, one big event center, this and that. Then we have status symbol. People believe that, yes, when I do that, I'm establishing a status. Now, we need to understand that even in Christianity and Islam and in other religions, elaborate wedding is not that encouraged.
Now, people are living beyond their means. Going through this expensive wedding nowadays means that what they are targeting is not what is in that purpose of marriage. In the past, marriage means responsibility. you are saddled with greater responsibility. That's why they say, if you are not yet married, you are not a responsible man. But nowadays, they go into expensive wedding just to show off.
As the world is fast becoming globalized, more glamour and aesthetics are now added to wedding industry. These have created more avenue to dispense more scarce funds.
Without a DJ, the event is likely going to be very dull. The DJ is the one that brings the vibe to the event because people have to dance. Now there is one major aspect called the first dance, and that first dance has to do with the bride and the groom holding each other, and they listen to a kind of a love song, and those songs are not always provided by probably a regular band, but if you have a DJ who probably has some of these kind of songs, he could just always relate with them, and everybody can feel the impact of the love, and it becomes emotional. You feel that emotion, and the aesthetics is just lovely.
As event planner, one of the things that make wedding more expensive and glamorous and beautiful is because before we don't have halls, whereby we don't have event hall, but now before I think we use field, we use parlor settings, we use front of the house setting, but these days we are making use of big halls. Another thing is that makes it more beautiful is because now we add more DJ, we add more of live band to it, and before we just play just CD back then, just CD or cassette. Another thing I can remember vividly is now you have MC, you have decorations, different decorations. Most of the time before you enter the hall, you see first decoration with the picture of the bride and groom, and before we don't have that.
Well, if I want to use my own life story as a test case, I did my wedding with 4 crates of minerals, and it was a successful one.
Be yourself. Don't copy anybody. Don't engage in unhealthy rivalry or competition with anybody. Plan your resources very well. Plan your wedding based on available resources. You have to understand that our earning capacity is not equal. Don't run into debt. Don't go into borrowing. Make sure you save for future investment.
The reason why I ask, I can see yourself.
Interesting. Don't go into debt. Be yourself. Don't copy. Don't imitate. Don't feel threatened by what you've witnessed on social media. Do you? Let me tell you something, David, what I heard from one young couple. Although they were like in their 20s, late 20s, when they finally tied the knot, they said they saved for 4 years.
Wow.
Do you hear that kind of story often?
Wow. No.
No.
Not at
But see
all.
what I want to ask you. I know that I was discussing with you earlier about planning destination weddings, even within Nigeria, as in leaving your location to plan elsewhere. Let's talk about even inter and intra weddings. Sometimes a Yoruba man will marry an Igbo woman, and you're going to tie the knot, perhaps traditionally, and even do the white wedding in her state. But you want, when your relatives and your friends come, to have a taste of their culture, that's Yoruba food or things that they are used to eating in their own comfort zone. How do you bring that to bear?
Let's take, for instance, the man himself is Igbo and the lady is a Yoruba person, and there's a shift, because that's when you now talk about the alaga, you talk about the food varieties, especially the food varieties. You have to incorporate Yoruba food and Igbo food. Yoruba foods like amala, which is the most trending, and gbegiri, ewedu, and the assorted.
What I'm saying, if the vendors, most of the comfortable vendors you would have gone to are not locationed in that place,
then
are you going to import the food by air, or you now go to that state and begin to find people that will make amala? Or you, David, you and your assistants will now buy big pots and start it?
Nigeria is very diverse, and we have different people. You have Yorubas in the east also. So there are caterers that actually make such delicacies.
Anywhere in this country. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
As long as the resources are there.
That's just it.
As we wrap up our conversation, let us encapsulate all we have discussed and send out a warm note to intending couples and their families?
Okay, for intending couples, our advice, please don't do above yourself. Don't borrow money. Don't do above yourself. You can actually have a very great wedding within your budget. That's why you need an event planner to make it happen. You need an event planner to make it happen. Don't do above your budget. That's my take-home message.
Interesting. Focus on what you have.
Yeah.
Plan for what comes after the wedding itself.
Yeah.
Because there's a marriage,
Of
in
course.
fact, coming after. Thank you very much for being a part of a Weekend Deal today. Zacchaeus Oluwatobi David, founder, creative director of Trilla's event. It's been great chatting with you.
It's great having
Do you
you
also get vendors to make wedding cakes for the couples?
Yes.
How diverse have you gone? Well, we're done with our conversation, but let's see what Abuja is going to show us with regard to wedding cakes that we see at ceremonies today.
The Nigerian wedding industry has grown with an expensive tune and in a modernized trend, making it a billion naira industry with each accessory having its own amazing qualities, evolving to a capital
age and time. You know, we tend to recreate whatever the customers, the clients, you know, whatever the imagination, we try to bring it to light. Yes, that is, you know, the trend in cake making. You see, in this environment, we tend to have taken more to the Western style of doing things, you understand? And it's a broad culture and it's gradually becoming ours. The cutting of cakes and the whole thing about cake, it's honestly a Western culture that, you know, we have received and we have, you know, embraced it, and it's gradually becoming a norm, you know, around Nigeria and, you know, Africa at large. So it's widely accepted. The cakes are expensive because the materials, you know, used in creating the cakes have become, you know, very expensive lately, you know, because of a lot of factors, the dollar hike and, you know, so many other things. So by the time you buy this and buy that and put everything together, cake most times becomes a luxury. Traditional wedding cakes are becoming a normal thing these days too. And it's a centerpiece, and we get to put it in there for them. It's what the people ask for that we bring in there. No one compels any.
comes to mind. How essential are security operatives in weddings?
Because it's an event and everybody is coming to show love, different people are coming with different motives. These days, I feel like most people who pickpockets don't even come looking funny. They come well dressed and then they enter. So I was at an event and then there was someone trying to pass through to the dignitaries. And he was being very aggressive and trying to pass. And then they lifted him up literally to the back. One time I had a wedding where we had boys coming. So you know, most people, they hire workers on the job. So most of them don't exactly have people over the time. So especially when it's a bigger number, you have to go and hire people. So we had this caterer who brought in boys who they're supposed to be chefs. So we gave them tasks, we've done all the check-ins and all. And then towards the end, we just saw somebody picking money that was not supposed to be picking money. And he would let it go down, lay flat on the floor, and he's standing up, and it's almost like he has gum all over his body. And there's so much money missing on the floor. And it was so annoying. And then all of us saw it. We didn't exactly notice because of the way he was very smart about it. He was a security man that noticed and just picked him. It was when he was even beating him that we realized what had been going on. And then we checked the guy's pocket, and he had put so much money squeezed into his pocket. So if we didn't have a bouncer at that event, we just feel money was coming from up, nothing is in the pockets to pick. Some come even the slimmest of knives and almost any equipment just to get into people at events. So.
See wedding cakes, you know that at some point, whether it's a traditional, we have wedding cakes now in traditional weddings. We also have them in the white wedding where the couple will come together. Sometimes the Baker will even use colors that embody the journey that a couple is about to embark on, and they will tell you what the colors really stand for. It's quite an interesting journey, this multi-billion naira industry, the wedding industry in Nigeria. Let's meet, greet, and welcome Angela Ozia Eriba, Chief Executive Officer, Stages Precision Limited. She's wearing many caps. Event planner, consultant, wedding attender extraordinaire. But we'll chat with her when we come back from this break. Great to meet you, my sister.
Nice to meet you too. It's my pleasure.
A break beckons. Let's go there. You're watching Weekend Deal, and we've been talking about Nigeria's thriving wedding industry, and it's so interesting. It's a whole gamut of exciting things, great vibrations, exciting colors. Earlier, we met our sister here, who's a consultant, event planner herself, and in the course of her journey managing events and wedding ceremonies, she's attended quite a bit, and she will share her interesting experiences with us. When you are invited for an event, because you're already a business person and that's your enterprise, do you go there already thinking, looking for things that were not well handled, or do you leave events clapping, that was a good one, I could learn a thing or two from that?
Yes, thank you very much. Like you rightly introduced, I've been in it. I did the event planning at a time, like for the past 15 years. I had organized some events, like, event planner is at the starting point. You organize, you coordinate, you bring people together, the different vendors, and then it was quite interesting. And then somehow I think I kind of backed up because of the moving trend. It was too fast.
Really?
The next thing you go and import, they tell you they want Chivalry chairs. The next thing you import a lot of them, and the next thing you find out that's no more raining.
Did you have complications? Why?
There were no complications. Sometimes you just go out there and get them because the bride wants Chivalry chairs, and then the next thing, by the time you are bringing them, they are no more in vogue.
And someone else will not ask for them for a long time.
Exactly, and then you just keep them somewhere in the store, and then, that happened, and then we just had to let go. Then eventually, okay.
But I also went about attending weddings.
Yes.
When you attend weddings,
we come from very large families, a lot of friends here and there. So definitely you'll be invited for several weddings, even when you don't want to. You just find yourself attending weddings, and then since you have the background of event planning, you go out there, you see things that you want to make, you want to change. You also see things you want to improve on, even to advise the current event planners, and then yes. Things go wrong some places, and then things go well, and then you take those things and correct for others that are coming in. A lot of people are able to, gain employment through the wedding industries. We have the photographers, these days. Photo shoots.
Interesting.
I remember in those days when you say you want to go into photography or you want to be a photographer, you see parents shouting. But these days you see photographers really doing well.
And we have women.
Very well. In fact, it's so exciting when I see women, into photography, and it's really good because there are scenarios like covering a bride, dressing up, and what have you. It's really good when you see women doing that, and they do it very, very well. So we have the bouncers. In those days, we didn't know anything like bouncers. So we have the bouncers, we have the souvenirs, people selling ashobi, the printers. So much is done. So much employment is given to our youth. Exactly.
People.
The snacks, small chops, the food.
There's something
so
for
that is
everyone.
The exciting thing about the wedding industry. Exactly.
We're still talking about the wedding industry, but we'll go to Port Harcourt now. And you know that when you want to marry a wife, even if you have been in a relationship, the wedding and the planning is something different entirely. You can't just take your girlfriend who is going to become your wife and say, okay, let us go down. That can work overseas, but it doesn't work here. As the elders in Rivers State will tell us, there's a process and a procedure that must be properly followed.
Wedding. It's one of the most beautiful days in one's life. A grand spectacular moment of luxury and pageantry. A ceremony that's more than just a union of two individuals, but that which involves families. In Rivers State, wedding ceremonies have witnessed remarkable transformation. In the past, ceremonies were adorned with simple cultural significance and deep-rooted traditions.
The marriage in those days, if you see a girl you want to marry, you will approach her, and if she accepts, she will take you to her parents.
Initially, they will go for introduction, and then from that point, the process of getting married commenced. Then, the young lady who is sought to be married will have to come out for proper introduction and for proper identification of who she intends getting married to.
With trends of events, wedding ceremonies have become more elaborate and expensive, with lavish feasts, elaborate clothing, and extravagant decors. What brought about this change, and how does it affect the couple?
Decoration is about fashion. So if you want to do a decoration like this, it depends on how your client wants it. But the way we work with our market value. Our price goes up almost every day. What you hire for like a little amount, it might go tomorrow. It's like 10 times higher than the way you were hiring it before.
Everything I planned was still simple. But when the wife came in, we had to plan together. So my own plan had to go down. We started our plans with that particular money we had. We didn't have up to 500,000. Friends and well-wishers started calling in, and they'll be like, okay, just send me your account number. And you see money coming in. So the things that originally we didn't want to do, we just had to, okay, since we have this money, why not we do this?
Marriage now is too high. It is better now to reduce. If not, many women will not marry. Some men fit to promise you, but due to cost of things, they will disappoint you in short.
After the euphoria of the ceremony, the journey of the bride to the groom's house is a symbolic moment representing the transition from her family to her new life with the groom and his family. Although this tradition in some parts of Rivers State has been played down.
To escort a girl now, escort your daughter is very expensive now. I buy 11,000 naira those days. I buy now nearly 100,000 naira for only that one box. So now so it happen.
It is the choice of the couple to decide how exuberant their wedding should be. However, in the bid to make your wedding a memorable one, couples should plan weddings that they can afford.
Plan weddings that they can afford. We heard the groom there saying that they saved and they planned to keep to their budget. But as money began to come in, Angela, did you hear that? As money began to come in, they began to widen their dream to make it encompass a lot of trending things. Because they were inspired, but not intimidated by what was happening around them. And when they could delve in, they called Angela, they called Davy, they said, help us now begin to put these things into place because more money is coming. We're talking earlier about how swiftly trends change. Tell us about that angle.
Okay, let me give you an instance with wedding gowns. I went into wedding gowns just to meet needs. I found out a lot of brides want to look good and then somehow they don't know how to go about it. And as a planner, I felt, okay, let me meet that need, make the brides happy. And I went into wedding gowns. First, I started with my friends that have wedded and have different wedding gowns. So if they come that way, they rent what they want. And I had variety. And then from there, I felt, okay, let me go more into it. And I started bringing different wedding gowns. I travel, I buy them and then rent out. And, you know, it became very funny because the next thing, like I said, the trend thing again, you get ball gowns. The next few months you hear it's no more raining, it's now fish gown. You run and get the fish gowns. The next thing you hear, oh no, it's gypsy gowns.
These brides.
But yes, you don't blame them
at all.
Everything is
because
going
that
fast.
Day, they want you to remain in the memories of everyone who has, and even their own memories, and they want the pictures too to speak.
Exactly.
We're also talking about other interesting areas, like sometimes a family or a couple would start a conversation for their wedding with an event planner. And while they've already set some things, you know, to emotion, they begin to have input from expert wedding planners who are family members. So many cooks coming in. How does that work? It makes the food more delicious?
You already know the proverb. So many cooks spoils the broth, right?
Tell us.
So, it's natural, you know, especially in, let's say, Africa, where everybody feels a part of every plan. Everybody wants to make his input. It's a good thing. Everybody wants to show the support and encourage and give their advice. But I think it's best left for the professionals. After all, they're being paid for it. So you allow them to do the planning. And yeah, it happens a lot. It happens a lot even when you have the event planners. But one thing I also tell couples, yes, respect family. You know, they want to express their participation and encourage you. But sometimes it really causes confusion, you know. What worked for me during my wedding may not be what will work for my sister or my daughter is exactly. So you just allow them to flow what they want.
So you can offer your advice or your counsel, but don't be hurt or don't enforce it. Allow them to be the one that will take that idea to the event planner and they work together. And if it's not what they want, it can be dropped peacefully.
Exactly. Because, for instance, you find out some couple just want a small wedding. They don't want the crowd. They just want immediate family, for instance, and then their friends. They want to have fun. But you find out the mother will say, no, my associations have to come. You have to have tables for my associations. You have to create another session for the village people and what have you. So such actually doesn't really go well with some of the couple. But as event planners, we also come in, okay, fine. You want to have 10, yes, let's strike a balance. You want 10 people, okay, let's just stretch it to 20 so that your parents or your family can accommodate their guests. And then,
people.
Okay, you want a small hall, okay, we can have a small hall and have an overflow where they can have a projector and then the other guests.
Part of the ceremony.
So there's always a way out. There's always a solution
and at all
to make
times,
everybody
your
happy.
mannerisms and the language you use must be one of peace.
Definitely.
That will unify.
So you have a peaceful wedding and everybody is happy at the end.
Especially when cultures are being merged.
Exactly.
Interesting. Well, Lena and Fatima have been a key part of this production as they have put it together. And they are also bringing forth a feature that encompasses a lot of what we have discussed. It's all about our industry. Let's see this.
There is no getting around the fact that weddings cost a lot of money. While it can be hard to justify and seem baffling to outsiders, the truth is, if you ask most couples about their weddings, they have no regrets about splashing out what they could afford to, even for just a day. One myth we are eager to dispel from the outset is that some suppliers suddenly add a bunch of zeros to the end of a quote when they hear the word wedding.
I want my wedding to be simple and coordinated and well planned.
Well,
It's very moderate, but I spend about 1.5 million should be okay. Not more than that. Lavish marriage is not encouraged. Just do something small. There is life after marriage.
If there's another one for elaborate, I'll use another one, but I want it to be more like heaven on earth. Fantastic, beautiful, fun, and many more.
Let everybody love rest and simple, and let the event be open.
From the level of exposure, social culture, religion, educational level to wedding services such as photography, catering, venue decoration, and a whole lot determine the cost. What about the expenses for wedding venue, the hospitality aspect for guests, quality of engagement ring? The list is countless.
If you not get money, there's no way to say we get married because marriage is very cost now. If you marry, you not get money, your wife go feel wrong leave you because lack of money can cost everything.
It is important that couples plan the kind of weddings they can afford to avoid unrealistic budgets. Above all, you are ultimately in charge of what your wedding costs. If you want to spend as much as you really can afford to, or you prefer something classy but mindful of cost, whichever you desire, let moderation be your guide.
We had some lovely Nigerian women telling us about how they love their wedding dresses to be, how they love the events to be, and many of them, their theme was simple. We also heard that young gentleman saying that if you don't have money, don't get married. No. But is that what we're trying to share today? No. Should those who don't have money wait until they get? What if they never get? That means they never get married. But tell us how those who are not wealthy, who are not rich, can also have a simple and a nice wedding. Is that possible at all in this time?
Very possible. Very, very possible. You could just, first, you go for the traditional, meet your in-laws, do the needful, and even at that, there's an average. You even at the traditional weddings, I know there are demands, but families should know who they are, so
are you saying they should be considerate?
Considerate, yes.
Because we hear that the culture is not what anyone has issue with, it's the appendages.
Yes, I know
like
it is.
Like the boxes and all of
That's what I said. There's a place for everyone. For the boxes, if you can't do, okay, I'm from Adamawa. My area, they also do those boxes, they do the tradition, you pay, you buy goats, you buy kola nuts, you buy sweets. So, families that can afford it can do 10 sets of boxes. They can do a lot of bags of kola nuts. They can do a lot of boxes of sweets. So if you don't have for that specific number, you can just do for the quantity you can. You can do just a box and then mix up everything.
So it's not a case of go big or go home.
At all.
Cut your coat
according to the material. Exactly.
And also, if you have planned such huge weddings, you had to import things. Would you also be able to cater for people who are going to do it really local and really small?
You should.
Every event planner should be able to cater to every strata of society.
Exactly. So you can budget according to, you can plan according to every budget. And then talking about the wedding, you don't have to make it big because you don't have to have a ceremony. The wedding is just joining prayers or the traditional way. So you don't even have to call the guests and have a hall and have a venue
bigger for the
and
anniversary.
Have food. Yes. When you have it, you could always celebrate. You could celebrate the anniversaries, you could celebrate your children's birth, and then still have an
There's
occasion.
Always a great future.
Exactly. You can go to the registry, and after that, you just go for your honeymoon with your wife.
You want to
so
thank you.
You don't have to have a ceremony.
I want to thank you very much, Angela Ozia Eriba.
It's Orgia.
Chief Orgia.
Orgia. Yes. Orgia. From my
and are you from Nigeria?
Yes,
Orgia?
I am.
It's been great having this chat with
Thank
you,
very
really. We've learned quite a bit, and your humility is contagious. I'm sure that when I hear just of anyone who wants to put together something very phenomenal for their wedding, I would definitely seek you out. Well done.
Thank you.
And all the best.
Thank you.
Weekend Deal has been quite interesting because you participated, you sent in your messages, and you shared your experiences about the Nigeria wedding industry. It took a group of hardworking people, men and women, to come from a very little foundation to bring us to where we are today, bringing ingenuity, tenacity, focus, determination, ideas, novel ones for that matter, to create an industry that we can talk about that's been celebrated on the African continent and in the world because they have taken couples in Nigeria, outside Nigeria for destination weddings as well, and they have been termed quite successful. We also talk to the couples who are getting married, those who are intending to, who are in the planning process as we speak. Yes, weddings are a time of joy, merriment, where families merge and unions merge as well, where we authenticate our love and we spend a lot of money. But it's not the amount of money that determines the longevity of your marriage. So if you have small, if you have a medium-sized pocket, if you have large, plan your wedding with love, with respect for each other, and with the goal for the future in mind, knowing that the wedding may be 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, but the marriage is for life. We are strong, tenacious, determined people. And when we know what is right, we continue to do it. As we celebrate the industry, we celebrate ourselves, who are partakers of this great industry. God bless Nigeria. From all of us here, it's bye-bye.